and I know that response times are adequate, but I don't think anybody could deny that they would be improved if we were to do this. And again, I really want to point out that every time we turn around and talk about growth on the west side and the needs of the west side, it seems like it's coming from our district. And I really strongly think we need to move forward on this. Yes, it will take 15 months, but it'll be 15 months from the time that we decide to do it. I've intentionally tried to completely separate this from the ALS plan that's being discussed, and I think it is separate. I don't. I think everyone's, most people support the idea of that plan about better allocating the resources. But I think if anyone that looks at a map can see that this is a proper place to have a rescue. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go Councillor Myers, then Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Chief Breen. While certainly increasing response time is important, or decreasing, sorry, decreasing. Response time is important. I guess I'm hesitant that we would be presuming we would know better than you, because I think you have the utmost responsibility and the utmost knowledge on what you need to do, and I'm getting a clear indication that this is not how you would allocate your resources.
Mr. President, Councillor Myers, like I said, there are greater needs if that kind of thing was available, and not that, again, not that that area wouldn't benefit from it, it would, but there are greater needs. And quite honestly, when I look at the capital budget and what I need to sustain my fleet, for example, that is something that's very important to us in the future of the department and our ability to deliver our services. It's all about our fleet. And so we would certainly like to see some fixes to the capital budget before we start adding burdens to the operating budget.
And I think that's critical. I mean, I don't know if everybody heard you exactly on that, but I know you mentioned that, but I think your capital budget is critical to you from what I understand.
Mr. President, Councillor Myers, it's how we get there. It's how
Right.
we deliver our services.
Exactly. Thank you.
Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, so sort of recap, this has been oftentimes compared to a rescue unit that I fought hard for in my district, Rescue 8. And I don't know if I completely agree with Councillor Myers that we should just defer to the chief. I think that sometimes it's our job to disagree after we get information that you and your predecessor provided. I know for a while Chief Ortega didn't agree with me with Rescue 8, but I think the numbers were a little different. Because I think Rescue 12 was the busiest rescue unit in the city for probably a decade, and I think it had well over 4,000 calls a year. And also there was an empty bay in Rescue and Station 8 for how long was it?
Mr. President, Councillor Harris, I would say Battalion 3 was there for a while, but I'm betting 6-7 years. Okay,
so there's a while, and then we finally, I remember we tried to get a budget amendment that failed, and then we actually passed a standalone bill in 2009, but I don't think we actually had the unit in place until 2011. So I mean, these things do take a while, and I am supportive of the concept. I do want to get more information. I was under the understanding that Rescue 2 was every bit as bad in terms of that Rescue 1 was every bit as overtaxed as Rescue 12 was. I don't know if it is based on what you said, but in terms of how would you prioritize where the next rescue should go? Would it be 2 or would it be someplace else if you had to choose?
Well, Mr. President, Councillor Harris, the priorities are more for what's impacting our system, our 911 emergency response system, and the things that are taking away from our true mission of saving lives and protecting property, and that is addressing public inebriates, which we're doing quite effectively with a partnership with UNM, APD, and the fire department. And that is just proactively collecting public inebriates where they're known to congregate and giving them I ride to mats, which removes them from that environment of unsafe elements or from walking in the traffic. And we're only in our first 30 days of that. We're still evaluating the effectiveness of that, but also removing some of the mental health issues that are being deferred to the 911 system. And so that's, if we wanted to, that's where we're focusing a lot of our resources today is the more appropriate use of 911 resources. But when you look at rescue services, I haven't done the analysis on it, and I would have to compare those locations that don't have a rescue unit, and that'd be Station 4, Station 10, and Station 2. But we also would like to see the results of this ALS expansion project to see what positive benefits and impact that's had on our overall system. Because what we're going to see from that, we won't decrease the number of incidents, but we will be decreasing the number of unit responses that we currently see within the system. And that decreases that stress that we have at these high-volume fire stations.
Okay, so between 4, 10, and 2, it very well may be that this should be the next.
It could very well be, sir. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And, okay. Okay, I guess that's all for now. Thank you.
Councilor Garduno, then Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, you did mention you had other priorities that sounded like more dire, something you would like to see before 2 would get a rescue. Could you name a couple of those things? I think you said CIP,
Well,
but I don't know what that means.
Mr. President, Councilor Garduno, if we're talking about CIP projects or capital projects.
No, I'm asking you what your priorities are.
For a capital program?
For your priorities.
For our capital program, we'd like to see or build a new maintenance fleet facility. Our current facility is about 65 years old, and it is not up to standard for the complex, large apparatus that we're using today. We'd like to see the consolidation of Station 4 and 10 to the intersection of 12th and Manal, which will cover that area more effective and free up staffing for a new station. There are 3 locations on the west side where we would like to expand, and we're getting into kind of my 5 and 10 year plan.
Okay. And that's good to hear, because I wanted to know what your priorities were.
Yes, sir.
In last year's budget, was there a fleet that was, I don't know, entertained by this council, and I think it was rejected? Is that true?
Mr. President, Councilor Garduno, are we talking about Ladder 17 maybe?
Right, exactly.
Right.
And why did we do that? Do you remember?
Well, we vacated the IGA for the operation of Fire Station 29, which was a county fire station, which they are now staffing and operating out of and are part of our automatic aid agreement.